who they are, who their real heroes are, and what their heroes meant to us, and what they were fighting for, is I think something that's huge. And like I think that's the biggest takeaway in Neighbor program and Neighbor School is like, who are we? What are we fighting for? You know what I'm saying? And understanding that.
Yeah, I also feel like it's really important to just, for our students to understand like how deep our history goes back to, you know, like our history didn't start here on Turtle Island, you know, we didn't start suffering, you know, we really started, we're like with the struggle on the continent, you know, and that's really important, both of us identifying as New Africans and Pan-Africanists, for our people to understand that and understand how we're still connected to the homeland and through our practices. You know?
So many practices, like we talk about music, dance, you know, just even just our resistance, right?
Yeah.
Tracing that all the way back to the continent, so I think that's huge.
Today I was listening to, there's a podcast called Beyond Prisons, and there's an episode that I was listening to, and it's called Abolition is a Horizon. And like, that's how I think about abolition. Like, abolition is like not a destination. Abolition is like something that we're constantly engaging in. And it is like this putting an end to and like a building. But I think what you kind of touched on, Mel, is that abolition is really about like those relational aspects of our society and the ways that we relate to one another. And altering those is really how we alter the conditions that are like conducive to harm and the conditions that are conducive to a society that engages in punitive punishment. So like when I think about abolition, I really think about, you know, like exchanging ourselves for each other and sort of like focusing on the ways of relating that will allow us to have sustainable, lasting alternatives to the prison industrial complex, which is our next definition.
What up, y'all? We're live at the Brick House. It's Jordan McGowan.
I'm Mason Forbes.
And we're with Neighbor Program. We are Monday co-facilitators for Neighbor School. Here to kick a little game about what Neighbor School is, what we're doing, right, and the ways that we're engaging in community education, community political education with the people in our area. Me and Mason co-facilitate on Monday nights. Ann and Celeste facilitate on Thursdays. We also have guest facilitators like Melissa Charles. Neighbor School started last summer. Everyone started to protest right after the lynching of George Floyd. And I had actually came out, and like I had said in 2014, I had kind of done a lot of protests. So I was like, yo, like, who's doing political ed? Like, that's what we need right now. But couldn't really get anything together because like the pandemic. And so everything was held on Zoom. And so I ran what was called like All Power to the People, Black Power 101. And I ran Decolonize the Classroom. So I ran like a bunch of those. And then I ran one on the history of like resistance in Sacramento. Leading up to the election, we were like, yo, there's gotta be a way like to capture again all of this political energy. And so we were like, yo, let's do political education again. And so we came up with the idea of Neighbor School. And from there, we did Neighbor School in the winter session, right, between the election and the inauguration. So that was our first session officially as Neighbor School, and then now we are in Neighbor School in the summer session, and so we're looking to continue to build them out. Right, obviously we started on Zoom, want to build it to more neighborhoods and things like that, but that's kind of like how Neighbor School has come to be.
A lot of the work that we do is in the tradition of the Black Panthers. So to kind of paraphrase from Jalil Muntaqim, a lot of our philosophy comes from the idea that without an understanding of our true history and where we have been, it's hard to understand where we're going and what we want to struggle for. So we kind of take these theorists and these revolutionaries and take their ideas and present them to the people. And again, the people really take them from there because they can relate these things to the daily struggles that they go through and understand where they want to fit in the fight.
We have gone through, you know, who we are, right? Who are we indigenously? What are we fighting for? What does nationhood look like, right? What does it mean to be sovereign? We've gone over the 10-point program in depth. We've spoke about Malcolm. We've utilized Kwame Ture. We've used Tupac. So Mason, if you could tell the people, like, what's your favorite thing about Neighbor School?
Yeah, I'd say my favorite thing about Neighbor School is that we're bringing in the community members, and really I feel like our job is just to give them the words to describe the things that they're already seeing in their daily lives, and then they really take it from there, honestly. So I'd love to see that involvement from the community. I'd say my favorite lesson overall is probably the one on abolition, the one we did in the last session. And again, that was mostly just because the community members really came in and made that one like a great lesson to be a part of. We talked about abolition, and really experimentation is key to abolition, and everyone kind of like came in and contributed and showed that we are building this right now as we are like taking down these systems. Understand that we're building a better world and want to put in the work to build that world. It's really setting like the blueprint, honestly, and we can take these lessons and then be able to eventually give them out to the people and just expand, continue to grow.
We have this national curriculum team now, right? So it's dope to see how Neighbor School is growing. It's dope to see you here leading it. It's dope with Ann and Celeste and Mel coming in, and definitely more in store for Neighbor School. We're gonna keep bringing it to the people. We're looking to start putting our political education online so that it's more accessible to the people, and they can always tap back in. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I'm excited. If you can, tap in with Neighbor School Mondays and Thursdays, right? We're just ending up, but if you can, tap in. We got one more week, and then be on the lookout for our next session. We'll take some time off, a little break in between semesters, you feel me? But then we'll be back at it. So make sure y'all stay tapped in and be on the lookout for Neighbor School.